All right, we are back with some big Fable news as the Xbox showcase just concluded and we got a new trailer, a release date, and some more information to go over. Let's start with the big news though, and that is that Fable now has a February 23rd, 2027 release date for Xbox and PC, and it will be February 18th for those who buy the premium edition. More on that in a moment here. And yes, these dates are a delay as it was originally planned for this year, 2026. And there's a lot of speculation out there as to why it's been delayed into 2027. Xbox did say it's because of needing more breathing room away from the end of the year. As we all know, GTA 6 is coming out in November. I think it's also completely fair though to assume that Xbox and Playground are likely working on some notable changes to the game due to rather hard to ignore negative feedback in the past, and they likely just need more time as well. Regardless, even though I'm certainly not sold on the game, I did enjoy the developer direct presentation 4 to 5 months ago, and I also enjoyed this new trailer that you're seeing on your screen right now, which we will talk about more in depth a little bit later in the video. There's some big reveals in there. But before we get into the trailer, while I certainly don't encourage pre-ordering for most games, I'm also here to report the news, and I don't really care what you do. But Fable is available for pre-order as of now, and the standard edition of this game is going for $69.99, whether you pre-order or not. But do note that this is also a day one Game Pass game. But anyone who does pre-order, regardless of what edition, will get this chicken suit cosmetic outfit, as well as a few gifts that you can give to NPCs in the game, part of the reputation system. And in this case, you'll get a wildflower bouquet, a toy chicken, and a scones and jam picnic hamper. Now, if you go for the premium edition of the game and you buy it before the game actually comes out, before February 23rd, you do end up getting 5 days early access. The premium edition, however, is $99.99. Pretty expensive, but there is one item on this list here that may possibly make it worth that, depending on how good it is, how much content is involved. We'll talk about that in just a second. But premium edition, $99.99, and you get 5 days early access. A little bit of FOMO tactics going on there. Not a huge fan of a 5-day early access, not the end of the world, but the fact that it's $99.99 to get the 5-day early access, not just like a deluxe edition $10 upgrade, kind of bothers me a little bit. Also with the premium edition, you get these 2 cosmetic armor sets that are right here, as you can see. Not a big deal. I guess they look cool. You get a digital art book and soundtrack, and then also 9 in-game gifts, and it's like a bouquet of flowers, some sort of food item, and then some type of bread. You'll give these to NPCs for reputation boosts, etc. Or maybe you'll piss off an NPC depending on what you give them. But the item here, the big one for this $99.99 premium edition, is the Fable Order of the Hero expansion, and we do know a little bit about this. So the Fable Order of the Hero expansion is basically a story expansion that will let you explore a new region of Albion, and you'll be uncovering an ancient cult and rising to become its leader. And they say here that we'll be able to shape the cult into, and I'll quote them here, your own heroic vision, whether noble, nasty, or just plain weird. But becoming the new boss does beg a darker question. If the cult has a vacancy for a new heroic leader, what happened to the last one? So the game turns out good, and the expansion is really great content that makes sense that it wasn't really part of the base game. Sure, you know, I could justify a $30 expansion for a game. The thing I don't like about this is that the 5-day early access is tied to the premium edition. You know you're going to FOMO so many people into that can't really afford it. Like, just do a $10 deluxe upgrade for early access. Or make it like 3 days early access, or 2 or 1. 5 days is a bit much. It's going to overlap the weekend. People are going to FOMO in that shouldn't be doing it, but it is what it is. So now let's talk about the collector's edition, which is also available for pre-order now. And here it is. So of course you're going to get all the premium content that I just talked about, but now you'll also get this Jack of Blades statue. And this is actually a pretty big reveal. And we did actually get to see a glimpse of Jack in the recent trailer. Not gonna lie, the statue does actually look pretty cool, and I'm not typically a fan of collector's edition statues, only once in a while. But you'll also get a hardcover art book, the steelbook case, as you can see right here, and a lapel pin. And we'll talk more about Jack later in the video. He was the main antagonist, of the original Fable. and he's back. But before we get into the new trailer, anyone not caught up on Fable, and I have some developer direct gameplay playing in the background until we switch to the trailer. Fable is a single-player open-world action RPG, and the devs are placing a big emphasis on choice consequence, with our character's reputation being a core part of the game. In fact, it seems like every villager, every NPC in the game will have their own reputation system tied to them, and if this is done well, that could prove to be fairly interesting. It does appear as if there will be multiple endings, as I have a direct quote here from their website that says, "Fairy tale endings are never guaranteed." This game is, of course, set in the vibrant world of Albion, and I know there are mixed opinions out there on the game's art style, but personally I think it fits Fable quite well. I'm happy with the environments and the world and how they designed it. We already know that we'll be able to customize our own hero's appearance. It doesn't appear to be a crazy in-depth creator, more so presets that you can alter here and there with certain things. Just a little reminder that the first Fable actually had only one character, basically a set protagonist. Fable 2 and 3 offered only the choice between male and female set protagonists. This Fable's actually taken it a bit further than the previous Fables. You will be able to get rich in this game in classic Fable style, become a landlord, a blacksmith, own shops and towns, get married, have kids, etc., etc. It's going to have all of these, sim type elements alongside it being an open world RPG. When it comes to combat, expect what you would expect out of Fable. Lots of melee, ranged, and magic options. But getting into the new trailer, though, so this trailer focuses on an important new character for the Fable franchise, Isabelle, the hero of Wraith Marsh.
Do I remember the moment my powers came in? Well, I was being crushed to death with seawater and mud and manure.
For those unfamiliar with Fable lore, Wraith Marsh is a location in Fable 2, and it's this cursed swamp region that was built upon the ruins of Oakvale, which is the starting village and hometown of the hero that you play as in the first Fable. I'll save any detailed lore dumps for future videos, but this is a haunted, eerie marshland that's tied to some important Fable history. We learn that Isabelle, who is played by Hayley Atwell, is haunted by a troubled past. She says something about losing her sister, and this past has driven her to a really dark place as she searches for solutions to Albion's problems. According to the verbiage used in the trailer, it appears as if she kind of lost hope in Albion and is perhaps more so ready to destroy it now or take it over, in a way that's more authoritarian than healing the land in a way that benefits most. She doesn't seem to like heroes that much, and we are a hero. It's like a kind of faction of characters in this world. And I'm hoping that there's some depth behind Isabelle, as although she may kind of be on her own evil side here, she clearly wasn't always like that. So maybe there's some choice consequence involved with her where we, the players, can convince her of taking a new path, or maybe not. Another notable aspect of the trailer is the return of the demon doors, one of the most memorable aspects of Fable, I'd say. Really great to see them as a part of this game. And if you're unfamiliar with demon doors, they're basically these magical talking doors that are scattered throughout the land, and they're magical ancient guardians in the lore, and they protect hidden realms that are filled with treasure, artifacts, and all sorts of secrets and sometimes lore information. Now, the catch is that the door will only open if a player is able to solve a puzzle or complete a certain objective, and this can be as simple as showing off a particular skill that you've obtained or need to obtain, to some doors even requesting you to commit certain evil or good acts. I like how the door is presented in this trailer, as it clearly has its own personality as it comments on the player's attire.
You're back, and dressed like a twat.
It'll be cool if they're truly able to lean into that reactivity aspect. And this door, according to the Fable website, will have some sort of chicken kicking minigame associated with it, which is, of course, Fable. And the last big reveal of the trailer is, of course, the return of the Jack of Blades, the main antagonist and final boss from the original Fable. We already know that we'll be contending with Isabelle as one of the antagonists of sorts, but now we get to add the Jack of Blades to that list. And Jack is an ancient immortal being who basically orchestrates many of Albion's catastrophes. And what's interesting is that in the first Fable, if I remember correctly, after defeating Jack, the player has the choice to put on his mask and in a way become possessed by him, or they can destroy the mask, which essentially destroys Jack. But clearly, if destroying Jack is canon in Fable 1, he found a way to come back, so it'll be interesting to see how they present that in the story. And lastly, speaking of catastrophes, I also just want to point out that in this trailer, we see a scene in what I'm assuming is Bowerstone, the main city. But in the scene, some sort of magic destroys one of these main towers. And I think this is some sort of representation of choice consequence in the game. For example, if you allow this to happen or choose for this to happen, whatever it may be, you might be able to make a long-lasting mark on the city of Bowerstone, you know, essentially destroying it in some way. And we're already given one example of choice consequence in the developer direct that involved the giant character, as we're told that you can basically kill the giant or not. And if you kill him, he will die or fall dead down in this one area that's near a village. His corpse will just be laying there. And that will have like some sort of game lasting effects, such as real estate being cheaper in this town as there's a giant corpse outside of the village. And that's going to be it for this video. Happy to update you guys on Fable. I'm seeing some mixed responses on this game, but it seems like it's leaning more positive now after the developer direct and after this recent trailer. But we'll see how things go. I'll be keeping an eye on it. And, you know, if everything's looking good as we get closer, I'll probably throw out some lore videos and stuff like that, because, you know, I do like Fable, the first one, a lot. It was a part of my childhood, and I miss it. Catch y'all in the next one.